Today we're diving into the eerie side of glamour as we explore the top 5 most haunted places in Beverly Hills. Beneath the glitz and luxury, this famous neighborhood hides spooky secrets and ghostly tales. Hi, I'm Alina. Welcome back to my channel. Greystone Mansion is one of the most famous properties in Beverly Hills. It is located at the end of a long, winding driveway and sits on 18 acres of land. This estate includes beautiful courtyards, lush gardens, and hidden details that require a close look to see. This mansion has high archways, large windows, detailed chimneys, and wide patios, giving it an impressive yet elegant feel. Visitors can explore this property by walking along long pathways and down staircases that go past sloping lawns and old sculptures. This mansion in Beverly Hills is a famous and valuable public asset known for its luxurious 1920s style. For nearly a century, it has fascinated people, sometimes for dark reasons. In 1929, a murder happened there, adding an air of mystery and leading some to believe that the mansion is haunted. Over the years, Greystone has been owned by different people and used in various ways, including as a family home, a film school, and a movie set. At one point, it was mostly empty and in poor condition until the city bought it in 1965. Since then, the city has spent decades renovating it, making it the important and cherished landmark it is today. Greystone Mansion was built by Edward Ned Lawrence Doheny Jr. His father got very rich after finding oil in Los Angeles and Mexico in the late 1800s. When Ned married Lucy Smith, who came from a well-known family in Pasadena, his father gave him a piece of valuable land with a view of the Pacific Ocean as a wedding gift. The next year, Ned started building Greystone Mansion on this land. He hired some of the most famous designers and architects of that time and spent over $3 million on this property, which was a huge amount back then. About a year later, the mansion, which was around 46,000 square feet, was finished. It was called Greystone because of its extensive use of stone and somewhat gloomy look. The inside was completed with very detailed and careful work. The oak banisters, balustrades, and rafters were hand-carved, and each of the 7 chimneys was designed and made by different artists. The floors in a grand hall had black and white inlaid marble. The mansion was surrounded by large, beautiful grounds that included stables, kennels, tennis courts, a fire station, a gatehouse, a swimming pool, streams, and waterfalls. However, Doheny barely had any chance to enjoy this beautiful place. Just 5 months after moving in, Doheny was murdered at the age of 35 by his close friend and assistant Hugh Plunkett, who then killed himself. Photos from the crime scene show Doheny lying on his back with a bloody face from the gunshot wound. Plunkett was found face down in a pool of blood. The city was captivated by the apparent murder-suicide involving the son of LA's wealthiest man, but even 100 years later, the details remain unclear. Plunkett's motive is still unknown. Was he a lover rejected by Doheny? Did Lucy, who might have discovered a secret relationship between her husband and Plunkett, frame him? Or was the killing connected to a national corruption scandal, as some believe? And do the spirits of Doheny, Plunkett, and Lucy still linger? This is the main question in Ghosts of Greystone, a book by writer and actor Clete Keith that explores claims of paranormal activity at the mansion. Over 3 years, Keith talked to many visitors and workers at Greystone who said they had paranormal experiences. One visitor heard a woman's voice without seeing anyone. A park ranger saw faucets turning on by themselves. A photographer smelled a rotten flesh at the place where a body was found. If there are ghosts in Greystone's halls, they didn't scare away Lucy, who lived there until 1955. She sold most of the estate's land to the Paul Truesdale Corporation, which developed the Truesdale estates. Later, she sold the mansion and the remaining land to Henry Crown, a businessman from Chicago who owned the Empire State Building. Crown rented out the estate to filmmakers, a tradition that continues today, but he never lived there during the 10 years he owned it. Henry Crown and his wife didn't want to move to the West Coast, and the city eventually bought this estate from them in 1965. The city worked hard to fix up the mansion, turning it into a public park in 1971. It was also added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. Today, the mansion is often used for city events and is a popular spot for weddings and private events. Greystone Mansion is a special building in Los Angeles, and it's important for people to see and feel its history up close. Experiencing its physical reminders firsthand is the best way to understand and appreciate its significance. Nowadays, Beverly Hills symbolizes luxury and riches. You'll spot lots of palm trees, stars, and sunshine around this area. But Beverly Hills also has its dark side, and some people believe it's filled with sinister and mysterious forces that can harm people. In one of the richest places in the United States, there is a really strange intersection. People started talking about something called the Beverly Hills Bermuda Triangle. It's just a normal intersection, but weird things keep happening there, like some kind of mystery spot. Back in 1946, a rich and famous guy named Howard Hughes flew his plane. He was a billionaire, made movies, and loved flying. He took his plane called XF-11 for a ride over a lake. Hugh was a skilled pilot, so flying usually was easy for him. But on this day near Beverly Hills, his plane's engine started acting up. He tried to land at a club but couldn't make it. Instead, he crashed into houses on Whittier Drive. Hugh lived, but he got really hurt with badly burns that never fully healed. It was strange because someone so confident at flying shouldn't have crashed like that in a neighborhood. Hugh survived an accident once, but the next accident at that place was more tragic. In 1947, a year after the first crash, there was a violent death. It was the death of a famous gangster named Bugsy, also known as Benjamin Siegel. Benjamin was a feared mob leader back then. He was a founding member and leader of a criminal group called Murder Inc. He was also involved in bootlegging during Prohibition. Benjamin was known for his charm and good looks, and he was a well-known gangster, but he had a lot of enemies. It was June 20th, 1947. Bugsy was at home in Beverly Hills with his girlfriend Virginia Hill when someone suddenly started shooting at their house from outside. 9 bullets were fired and 5 of them hit Bugsy, including 2 that got right in his head, killing him instantly. The shooter got away and was never caught. Even now, the murder of Bugsy remains unsolved. For a while after that, there wasn't any bad luck. But in 1966, something terrible happened again. 2 men named Dean Ormsby Torrance and Jen Berry, known as Jen and Dean, were hit by this bad luck. They were a music duo. On April 12th, Jen Berry was driving near Dead Man's Curve on Whittier Drive. He was going very fast in his Corvette and crashed into a parked car at full speed. This caused serious head injuries and he was in a coma for 2 months. He survived, but he wasn't the same. He was disabled with his right arm paralyzed. This happened close to the area where the other incidents had happened. A publicist named Ronnie Sue Chasen died mysteriously not so long ago. She worked with many famous people in Hollywood. On November 16, 2010, something terrible happened. She was driving back home after a movie premiere when tragedy struck. At the corner of Whittier and Sunset, someone shot at her car. The shooter was never caught, Ronnie didn't die from the shots but from the crash that happened after. To get away from the gunfire, she hit the gas pedal and crashed into a street light. After Jason's death, nothing unusual has happened in that area, but now it's become a popular spot for people interested in ghosts and mysteries. There is no paranormal evidence has been caught in the Bermuda Triangle of Beverly Hills, but there are other problems in that area. There's a lot of bad energy in this area. It's a place filled with suffering that affects people who live nearby. Some think it's a magnet for tragedy, while others think it's just a weird coincidence. The Beverly Hills Hotel is a really famous hotel known worldwide. It was built in 1912 and is part of the Dorchester collection. Over the years, it has hosted royalties and was the setting for some famous parties during the Red Pack era. Stars like John Lennon used it as a hideout. Even now, it's a favorite place for Hollywood's elite. In 1977, an actor, Peter Finch, had a heart attack in this hotel's lobby. Some people say he might still be hanging out around here. People also believe that comedian and harpist Harpo Marx and Russian composer Sergei Rachmaninoff also haunt this place, making ghostly music even after they passed away. The Pickfair estate was a fancy house in Hollywood where Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks lived. Pickford was a famous actress and Fairbanks was a successful actor and producer. They got married in March 1920 and Fairbanks gave the estate to Pickford as a wedding gift. Fairbanks bought this estate in 1919 when it was just a hunting lodge. They turned it into a big mansion with beautiful paintings, fancy furniture, and it even had a swimming pool, which was rare for private homes in Los Angeles back then. Pickfair Estate was a huge mansion with 22 rooms and 4 floors. It was famous for hosting big parties in the early 1900s. Lots of famous people like Charlie Chaplin, Greta Garbo, Scott Fitzgerald, and even Albert Einstein would come to these parties. It was a big deal to get invited to one. Life magazine even said that the estate was like a fun version of the White House. In the 1930s, Mary Pickford started having strange experiences in her big house. She told her guests about hearing sounds from the attic. Even though she usually slept well, those noises would keep her awake at night. She once spoke directly to the supposed ghost, asking it not to bother her in a ladylike manner. After that, reportedly, the noises stopped. Other people at Pickfair had strange experiences too. The cook once saw a dark woman and got scared running out of the kitchen. A guest also saw this dark woman but couldn't recognize her. When the guest tried to talk to her, she disappeared. Even though many people claim to see ghosts, Douglas Fairbanks thought there was a simple reason for it. He didn't believe in ghosts or that Pickfair was haunted, even though Mary was convinced it was. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks split up in 1936 and Fairbanks passed away 3 years after that. Mary Pickford lived in the Pickfair estate until she died in 1979. After that, no one stayed there for a while until it got sold to Jerry Bass in 1980, a businessman and investor. Over the years, Jerry had various events and fundraisers there. In 1988, singer Pia Zadora bought the property. By 1990, she wanted to build a new home, so she demolished the old one. Many people were upset because the house had a lot of history. Zadora said she had to tear it down because it was infested with termites and couldn't be fixed. Later, she admitted that strange things happened in the house, so she and her husband decided to destroy it. She talked about her daughter seeing a ghostly woman laughing by her bed, which made her daughter scream. At first, Pia thought it was just her daughter's imagination or just adjusting to a new home. But then she started experiencing strange things too. Eventually, she sold the estate, regretting having to let go of its history and special atmosphere. In 2005, an IT property company called Unicom Global bought Big Fair Estate. Now it's a big mansion with a Venetian style. From the property you can see great views of Beverly Hills and the Santa Monica Mountains. When Lucille Ball passed away on April 26, 1989, it felt like the world lost some of its shine. However, some people believe that America's beloved redhead Lucy hasn't completely left us. Rumors suggest that her spirit might still visit her house in Beverly Hills from time to time. They talked about windows breaking for no reason, hearing loud voices from the attic, and seeing furniture move around on its own. Some think it could be a ghost causing all of this, and one person claims to see Lucy there even though she's no longer alive. A friend of Lucy drove by her house to take a look one last time. Some walls were gone and he could see Lucy's old room. He then saw a tall woman with red hair looking through the fence at what remained of the house. When she turned towards him, he recognized her as Lucy. She seemed sad and confused. After a while, she walked around the corner of the house and disappeared. Maybe she liked going back to her old house because it looked so different now. After she died, her husband sold the house. The new owners didn't like tourists coming to see it, so they changed the outside a lot, covering it in stucco. They even took away part of the house on one side, so it hardly looked the same anymore. We can remember how Lucy's old house was and what her life was like back then. Her street seemed lovely. Jimmy Stewart, her neighbor, often brought vegetables from his garden. Lucy used to give out candy on Halloween while wearing a fancy witch outfit. Nobody bothered to lock their doors in that area because almost everyone was famous. Sadly, they tore down the other famous houses in the neighborhood, including Stewart's, to build fancier mansions. But anyway, life goes on. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!